Welcome to the, would this be the fifth game of Star Trek Reliant, where we are actually beginning, at this point, what would be the first non-premiere episode, part of the game. I'm going to tell you what I have in mind for the name of an episode until we're pretty far into it, or possibly until the episode is done. But in this case, what you have is all of your crew now with Duncan and Marcus Graves as the commander of the ship. We're going to have Kendra, Lieutenant Junior Grade Alenis Kendra, who's going to be our XO.
Speak.
Okay.
We've got
difficulties unmuting.
We'll figure out how to unmute.
well, we've got Cast playing our Chief of Sciences, Quentin Reynolds. We've got Baz playing the Chief Ship Engineer, Rick Tier, a race that is brand new. We have Jarlin playing Kara Junrani, one of a race that Duncan created for the Foundry some time ago called the Ibby. And we also have Nick tonight playing Dr. Eli O'Connor.
Don't forget
we are. Don't forget who? Didn't I said Baz is playing Rick Tier, our chief engineer.
Yay!
I like that your name rhymes too, like Rick Tier the engineer.
It's like you were made for this.
I actually did not take that into consideration. I did not even realize that until you just said that. So, yay!
I've been thinking it for a while, Rick Tier the engineer. Then, of course, people have other things. So, what we have is the crew of the Reliant has spent the last couple of months, probably about anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks of intense high-level command training or additional training in their areas of specialty, prepping all of you for taking the senior staff positions that you served on board the cadet crews. It has been, for all of you, haven't had a lot of free time for a couple of months. You've been doing, as I said, advanced coursework at the academy and training with. You are free to, all of you, come up with instructors who helped you and, who were some of your final instructors at the academy. And here you are on, it's June? Yeah, it's early June. Graduation was a week and a half ago. Finishing out your final, the final moments, the final projects that you're having to do. And for some of you already, if you want to, you're already able to be moved on the Reliant, since many of you already had quarters there and such. And that is where we pick up. Early June. 2409 Earth. Some of you may be on the ship. That is up to you. You know that you are less than a day out of launch. I would say Tom Paris is back in the quadrant. I see that question in our chat. Makes sense to me that there's no problem for him having been part of your training, actually. When I look at that, yeah, when I think about it, because Voyager's been back back on this side of the quadrant forever, essentially.
Like 30 years or something. 30 plus years.
Not to Mary Suet, but the two characters do seem very similar in both job and attitude.
And we know from the Iconian War that Paris still had a Starfleet commission because he was a captain. So,
well, I guess with your permission, I'll just have been her mentor, who pulled her aside and said, "You look like you have some good talent. How about you learn how to fight?" Yeah.
I would say more than permission, you have my enthusiastic vote of yes. That sounds great that, Tom Paris was part of your final command training. That sounds neat, honestly.
Okay, I'll make some notes about it later, but then that's just her new mentor as far as flying goes.
Yeah, this weird middle-aged human guy with, as you said, a dislike for authority or authority issues.
I'll also take a weird middle-aged Terran with authority issues, and I'll take one of my own characters, Alphonse A. Ross at Starfleet Security, for some last-minute field combat training.
Right on.
I love Ross. Ross is like Magnum PI, but of Starfleet.
Exactly. He's got the mustache. He's got that bandolier with a gun on it.
If you have a shuttlecraft that looks like a Ferrari.
Unfortunately, I couldn't build that in the Foundry.
Hey, wouldn't that have been cool?
I'll retcon it.
And we're going to Risa. Maybe we'll see Ross in a Hawaiian shirt.
We're going to be passing by Risa. Is not an official stop. Your first official stop anywhere isn't until you reach Station Epsilon 10, and it's not exactly the neutral zone, but you might as well call it the Federation side of the neutral zone. You're going to be, when you look at a map, you're going to be heading galactic south, where the neutral zone is, into territory that has only been surveyed by long-range survey ships. It's possible that the Klingon Empire have sent vessels into the area. That's not, especially being as close to the neutral zone as you're going to be. It's not. It's a distinct possibility that there are Klingon ships in the area that you're heading into. The couple of months, I was going to say, the couple of months that pass, the Klingon War escalates, so that you all know. It escalates to the level of war. There have been conflicts in the neutral zone, particularly over a system called Karat, where the Borg have left artifacts, and every so often there are skirmishes in there. So before you leave Earth, or whenever it is, what's up, Kara?
Oh no, this was going to be once we arrived. I'm sorry.
Once you arrived, yeah. I just wanted you to know the kind of the state of the galaxy where you are is that the Klingon Empire is. Oh, none of you are aware why the Klingon Empire has escalated the kind of like Cold War feeling they've escalated it to actual conflict. There's obviously something there that something in whatever's going on that really has the Klingons either angry or worried enough to escalate to it actually being something that could be considered a war, because there's actual shots fired now. You are being assigned to what is officially known as the Second Exploration Fleet. Is 5 ships that will be serving on the Federation side of the neutral zone, come into the same area. I mean, you're looking at a gigantic unexplored area. So 5 ships, all kind of going different directions, and 2 of those 5 mostly staying kind of close to the neutral zone, means it's not a big fleet by any means. And if any of you at the lowest levels, it's easy to find out that the reason why is most of Starfleet's resources are being redirected into this what is considered an oncoming war effort against the Klingons, leaving the Exploration Command a little short-staffed and not able to quite support gigantic fleets. So the Reliant is being assigned as one of 5 ships to the... Hey, there's Mr. Nord. Buddy, how are you?
Hey, sorry guys, I thought we had this week off, so I wasn't paying much attention to Discord. My bad.
So this is where I was saying we're going to need some ship names. I can tell you that the Reliant is not the flagship of the Second Exploration Fleet. In fact, that is a ship known as the Galileo. The Galileo is a Galaxy-class ship.
Wait, so it's a shuttle?
And serves as is ready out exploring the universe, and it is the flagship. The Endeavor is another ship that is that is assigned to the fleet. You guys can choose what ship class that is, and then there are 2 other ships that don't have names yet. I was hoping that as players you would like to help name which 2 of the ships in the Second Exploration Fleet.
Well, we did post these earlier. If you want to read them out to the audience.
I'm going back. We had Sierra, Athens, Navajo, Longshot, Lido, Resupply, and Say My Name.
Yeah.
as potential names of ships. So if we want to take votes, I really hope we don't end up with the USS Say My Name.
That one was a joke. You weren't supposed to read that.
No, it was a joke.
Well, I mean, the Basilope has to be in there.
Okay, the Basilope is one of the USS Basilope. What
my vote is still Anthems, so...
the Basilope is a Defiant class.
Why would it be in an exploration fleet? But, okay. It's one of the ones that stays closer to the neutral zone, and in addition to being part of the exploration fleet, it is more often found at home base than the rest of you.
I was actually going to say, I mean, at least one of the ships should be a combat ship in case we get into trouble. The Basilope is what everybody calls if they run into a hostile alien race.
Exactly. So any other votes? I like Athens as well.
Go with Athens. Command decision.
The command decision. It's the Athens.
Okay, the Athens is a Nebula class.
Nice. Endeavor, I'm going to say, is a Be a class of ship that would be awesome for something called the Endeavor.
Excelsior.
Here we go.
Endeavor has its own ship class, though.
Is it?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that's true. So it'd have to be an Endeavor then, because it would be the ship of that class.
Would be the ship of that class. That's true. So then we're going to rename the Endeavor to the Toledo. I liked Toledo a lot too.
I was about to suggest one, David.
Make one of those an Aventine class.
Aventine. Let's make that the Toledo. Make that an Aventine class. All right. So that is the second exploration fleet. Odds are that entire second exploration fleet being called together for one thing, very low. Especially with the fact that there's only 5 of you, and all of you have been, except for the Basilope and the Athens, both stay fairly close to Station Epsilon X, and really without, as I was saying before, ship already launched with a bunch of fanfare once, and without very much to do at all. After 1 or 2 nights of being able to relax before your mission, all of you are able to be aboard and have the Reliant. It kind of, I would imagine anyway, feels different stepping off of the transporter pad or stepping off of the shuttlecraft that brings you up here. My imagination says it would feel different, especially for some of you, but that last time you stepped onto this ship, you were a cadet. And now you're stepping onto this ship, a commissioned officer with same responsibilities, essentially. But, same responsibilities that you had, but there's something different about being a commissioned officer stepping on to your first assignment. And so all of you are very, very aware that your ship and one other ship in Starfleet, not going to name it, because it's the quote-unquote player character ship, that's the one out there doing the adventures that are in Star Trek Online for us to do in the story in that way. Because there are only 2 ships that have command staff made up of exceptional cadets who are promoted to command positions aboard their ships. It's the Reliant and one other. So there is a little bit of weight on all of your shoulders that you may not have expected. So insert ship name here. It's because it's whoever the player character is.
Yeah. It's USS open square bracket, ship name closed square bracket.
Yeah. So as we're starting this scene, so are we all beaming on as a group? Have we beamed on individually?
I wanted to ask you guys that.
Individually. I want to do a scene.
Okay.
And I have already nominated that Rick Tier as an engineering.
Yes, he already would be.
Okay, so I step onto the ship, got my comm badge right away. Grace to Rick Tier.
Rick Tier here. Go ahead, Captain. Let's see.
Have we adjusted the gravity?
Captain now.
Well, stranger for me, I think. Have we adjusted the gravity plating?
Yes, I've received your specifications. The engineering crew is already on that. Just making sure that everything is, well, as we expected it, and just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, as the Terran saying goes.
Understood. There might be a little problem at the transporter bay. Something felt a little bit off as I was stepping onto the ship, so maybe check on with the maintenance team, because we certainly don't want to have any accidents happening during a hazardous situation. If there's nothing else?
It doesn't look like it, Captain. I'll get onto it right now.
All right, thanks. Graves out.
And Ricky will himself go and run some diagnostics on the aforementioned transporter room, since he's got a transporter focus anyway, so he can do that himself.
Thanks for reminding me to open up a drive. I didn't have it open. Do you have a transporter's focus? It's awesome. Where is your sheet? There it is. And engineering, 15 with a target number of what you need. 1 success, 15 is your number, and you crit on a 4 or less.
I've updated engineering to 5, but the
crit on a 5 or less, then it's 6.
Yeah. 4 successes, 2 crits.
Oh, man.
Just built 1, 2, 3 momentum. That's a great first roll of a night, huh?
And I was just making a joke about how the ship felt different.
No, right? And I was going to say, you built 3 momentum to find out. Listen, there's nothing wrong. there's everything is exactly as it should be, but we're so sure of that. I mean, really. Wow. All right. Well, that's a heck of a beginning. He's a damn genius. Does anybody else have anything they want to they want us to see before the next shot is like coming in from outer space to look at the bridge? Anybody else have things special they want to do before leaving Terra and Starfleet Command behind you?
I'll just mention that Kara took the shuttle up, since she, has Nala with her little Alaskan Kleekai. However, she doesn't have a whole lot of baggage, so she spends time in the cargo bay and the shuttle bay helping other people unload.
Oh, right on. I'm going to say I'm gonna make a roll here. Let's see. How do I do this? 2d20. I'm just gonna look at what numbers I get. Why did that not work? It hates me.
Because you need to put a space after roll. Or you can just do exclamation mark 2d20. No roll.
I see. Oh, roll. That makes sense. Here we go. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, a 9 and a 12. That's brilliant. A lot of people like your dog, Kara. Like,
of course they do.
I was going to say, like, what it is you're in the shuttle bay helping new crew unload, and some even people that you may recognize from the academy that are being assigned on board the Reliant in different areas. But a really good number of people are, I guess, would say, like, made happy by the fact that they're welcomed on board by a cool dog.
So it is now official at this point. Whatever the Reliance symbol is, because every ship usually has one, that Nala is wearing around her neck on a bandana.
Awesome. Like that.
She is Reliant dog.
She's the unofficial mascot.
Yeah, the official one is Hardy.
Well, he's not a mascot. He's a valued member of the crew. And are we?
Okay, Oakley is the official mascot.
There you go, Oakley. We need to paint Oakley with the Reliant symbol. That's what we need to do.
Well, he's already got a yellow stripe on him.
Hi, are we gonna first see the doctor in sickbay, or are we going to see him somewhere else?
I was going to say he's running late.
Oh, okay. So we see him running late. How late and where is he?
Like, very last minute late, and...
His thing's already aboard and it's just him that's late?
Yeah, his stuff is all beamed up.
Okay. And, so you'll be one of the very last ones on board. How are the ship's XO and science officer getting along and getting on board?
For once, we arrived on time.
Ooh.
And I went to have a conversation with Commander Graves.
So,
Hey, XO.
Hey. So, are there any things that I should know before we get going?
We're on our way to our home starbase before proceeding with our mission. Unless I read the mission order incorrectly. But anyway, then. Okay. Ship status is fairly nominal as far as I'm aware. No personal assignments need to be made at this time. Security protocols have not been checked yet, but we're keeping over to the standard protocols that Commander Cole has in place. So I don't think that'll need too much review, but it might be something you may want to check into if you want to make any alterations.
All right, sounds good. Have you talked to Lieutenant Tardigrade since we got aboard?
Well, first of all, I have corrected the personnel roster, and he is now it is instant Tardigrade. He got a little ahead of himself. But JT has been he's checked in, and as far as I'm aware, he's just making patrols for the ship. I honestly couldn't tell you if he's making those patrols for any given show, or he might just be, exploring. But, yeah, I've seen him. He seems all right.
Very good. When did you want me to conduct those classes with him?
I would say, you have the choice of before or after his duty shift. Afterwards, maybe a little tuckered out, maybe a little bit harder to keep his attention. Beforehand, though, he might get a little excited. So I'd leave that up to you. My personal recommendation would probably be classes, and giving him a juice mix should handle his agitations.
Sounds good. All right. Do you have any tasks that you want me to see to before we get underway? Other than checking into security?
Just in case, also make sure that the security protocols are also well established with respect to our shield beaming. Since we're exploring a new area, I want to make sure that we are as tight as we can be with respect to those.
Right. Sounds good.
Alrighty then. I won't keep you.
Kendra to security.
And Quentin. You say Kendra to security, and we're going to go there in a second. But Quentin, what do you do once you're on board?
I made a beeline towards my office. I took a moment to retask one of the holo emitters by my office to project a Kraken and a text message of disturb at your own peril.
Ooh, I love it.
In front of my door, because I am finishing up 2 reports, 1 thesis, and a handful of other correspondence related to our first mission, and I want to have it done before we leave. Before we leave the wonderful bandwidth of home for the unreliable subspace of the frontier.
Oh, that is a pretty dog. Sorry. So what we have then is see Quentin settle into his office and begin. He's got pads aplenty, and we can all see that what's on those pads, information, and read like a quick read over what we can see shows that it's dealing with probably ancient culture that was located on the planet that you all explored. And as we pull back away from the science station, there's a big cracking at the front door, which I think is really kind of awesome. And we see Chaplain Whately, you're actually seeing your counselor's office for the first time. It wasn't ready during the cadet cruise. You had to spend most of your time on the bridge or using the holodeck if anything came up. But there is actually on the same deck as the med bay a counselor's office. What sort of things would we see in the counselor's office as you're beginning to get set up?
He would keep it pretty Spartan. There's not a lot of distraction in the room. There might be one area that just had like an old-timey bookshelf with lots of, whether they're authentic antiques or replicated, but lots of older, like psychiatric volumes that go back, back to the time of Freud or later. Obviously, he has a whole section that's kind of partitioned off a bit. That's the vibe is kind of like the priest's confessional. Okay. And it not like exactly like that, but very much has that vibe, that feel, that aesthetic, and obviously that's kind of its uses. If a patient or somebody who's come to him needs to talk but doesn't want that intimidating, there's a person looking at me as I'm saying this, you can sit quietly and it's there except when he speaks, kind of.
Okay. You look at your counseling schedule and don't have anybody set up for counseling yet, but you do have 2 people on board the ship. We'll come up with names for them later, but I have the only reason I don't have names for them is because I was hoping another one of those, you guys come up with like, a race and we'll come up with a cool name for them, type of things. But you have 2 people that's on board who have a very, and these are things that are noted, like when you first are going through the crew roster and such, there are some notes for a counselor to look at when the counselor is looking stuff over, right? And what you find is that you have 2 crew members who have what is fear of space group.
I mean,
is it cosmophobia?
I would just call it cosmophobia or acute agoraphobia.
It's astrophobia.
Or astrophobia.
In this case, it's not acute and it's not crippling. Obviously, they are still members of Starfleet and they are assigned to a ship and they are on board. There are 2 members of your crew that are listed with astrophobia. Both minor conditions, but
I nominate one character, Ensign Tardigrade.
Tardigrade has a fear of space.
No, he has a backstory. It could play into that.
Sure, and one of them is Ensign Tardigrade. Uh, so there we go. But I wanted there to be a couple of people on board the ship have fear of outer space. And in both of their cases, well, I don't know about tardigrade. Well, I'll let Duncan address that. But in the case of the other crew member, is not a fear of exploration, or aliens or anything like that. It's it's kind of an extension of agoraphobia. On Earth, on its side, they're fine. Big spaces don't bother them. But as soon as they're in space, Dash Olsen. There we go. That's the crew member's name. Len. Oh, Dash Olen. Okay, I like it. Dash Olen. He is an ensign. That either works. Saurian as a race, I like. The fear is a form of agoraphobia that only presents itself when they are in space. Oh. Space is disease and death and cold. Yikes.
What was that? There was a quote said in one of the new Star Trek movies by Bones. Space is. That started out with that. Unfortunately, I can't remember the rest of it.
I can't remember it either, but I know what you're talking about. He talks about how terrible space is, and why would we even want to go there? But then right before we see we see the face of Dr. O'Connor briefly, looking very hurried, and then we hear you're going to be the last one because you said you're running late. Kendra, we hear Kendra say, Kendra to security or Elenis to security. What did you say? I forget.
I'm not actually sure, but Elenis to security.
You hear Larissa. Her voice comes back, and where are you when you call her? You may not need to tap your comm badge.
Yeah, I just tapped my comm badge.
But where are you? When you make the call.
I'm walking down one of the corridors.
Okay, you hear this is Larissa. What can I do for you, XO?
I just wanted to check into our current security protocols in regards to transporters and shield.
There is a pause. You're not sure what the pause represents, but there's a pause after you ask, and she says, "Been working with engineering actually to put that kind of a thing, if we ever need to cycle the shields, on a kind of an automatic rotation that we are so that if we do have to take the shields down for any reason once they're up, it's going to be as fast as you can imagine. Other than that, all of our protocols are looking good. I put the security teams on 4 6-hour shifts. That seemed to me to be the best idea. And I've just been adjusting the bridge stations to those of us who will be up here.
Okay, that sounds good. Len is out.
Now, see a very hurried Dr. O'Connor. You have missed your shuttle you've definitely missed your shuttle.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
Wait, I thought you said I was already on the ship. You said you saw my face briefly.
Yeah, right. Because we're seeing that you're in between everyone else. We're seeing you briefly looking hurried on your way.
Oh, so I'm still not on the ship yet then.
I told you I'm going to make you laugh because you said I'm running really late. What do we when we see the doctor? What do we get? What do we see? We're focusing in on him now.
He is not on Earth right now. He's on a ship, but he's not on the Reliant. He's saying goodbye to his mom and dad. Because their ship is in orbit.
Nice.
But, he spent the night there and kind of slept in after drinking too much.
After drinking too much with the family, and then you realize, all by himself. Oh no. But you realize that the shuttle that you could have taken to get you to your shuttle, kind of like a jumper plane, you would have needed to take a shuttle down to the Academy, basically down to the Academy docks, and jumped on a shuttle there. But that shuttle has already left.
Oh, shit. What am I going to do?
On a starship, man.
I panicked. Hung over to realize.
You're like, oh no, what am I going to do? At some point, while you're panicking and wondering what you're going to do, your father probably walks into his kitchen because you're on board a ship. You probably spent the night in like attached quarters to theirs or something, right? And you see him walk through the kind of center room and get himself a coffee out of the replicator, and he's like, "What are you worried about? Just go to the transporter room."
A second. This is I do him because I know what to do. I know how his personality is. Sorry. Why are you still here? Okay, I am. I was just. Why are you still here, Dad? I'm still waking up. What time is it? I'm pretty sure I have to be there. Like now, when I'm panicking, I probably missed the shuttle. You realize we have a transporter, right?
Yeah.
Shit. You're right. Off I go, and I go stumbling there.
And you make your way on board the Reliant via the transporter room. Knowing
clothes, by the way.
And yeah, that's still in bedclothes probably, which I think would be awesome.
He fell asleep in jeans and like a coat.
That's awesome. That's how you come on board the Reliant. The transporter officer the transporter officer is a what race? Is a Rigelian. Is a female Rigelian who says, "Welcome aboard, Doctor."
Yeah, thanks. Aboard. I'm here. And
aboard, Doctor.
I just awkwardly just nod, say what I just said, then just sort of shuffle towards the exit.
And with that,
wait, hold on. Where is Eli heading?
I don't know. Where are you heading, Eli?
10 forward for breakfast, or whatever our ship had. Not 10 forward.
Okay, so just to let you know, Marcus Graves is going to be in sickbay waiting for you.
Oh no.
So you spend time to go get some breakfast in the crew's mess hall, and probably take time to go get changed, and eventually make your way to sickbay, right? And when you get to sickbay, Captain is there.
I also gotta add, his hair's usually in a ponytail. It is not right now. It's just long and out.
No, I don't think that you guys do have a chef. You have chef Rep. Last name Lacater.
Do we have a bartender though?
No, because you don't exactly have a bar. You have
what kind of hellhole is this?
kind of hellhole is this? You have a ship. You have a mess hall that has replicators.
Okay, Drew, we're gonna have to build a bar at some point.
I'm off for
It's gonna be our sort of team building exercise. But that's
Listen,
later.
we're an exploration ship. This is for diplomacy.
We need a hobby.
Okay, so the doctor walks into the sick bay and his captain is waiting for him.
Just sitting there, just reading reports, just sort of lounge.
Stumbling in with a cup of coffee and the 25th century equivalent of a McDonald's hash brown.
Let's just call that a McDonald's hash brown.
Okay, fair enough.
Really, it's kind of hard to make perfection better.
So, I just say, Doctor?
Captain! Didn't know you'd be here.
You were the last person we were waiting on, so I figured I'd might as well just put myself here, just so I know when we should get on.
Sorry, just saying bye to the folks. You know how it is.
No, actually not really, but I understand your point. If there's nothing else I should know, we might be able to get underway. I just also want to check in with you to make sure that your medical staff and your supplies are ready to go.
I haven't done checks yet, and shit, my hair's down.
Not too much of a worry on that. How quickly can you give me the final, or just a quick okay, that we haven't, say, left your medical staff behind?
I'll ask.
I was going to say, Doctor, you have a nurse, male. What race is one of the nurses? It is a Tellarite. You knew you were going to have a Tellarite in the sick bay. He just happens to be in the sick bay right now, and he's at one of he's at a station. Obviously, looks like he was doing some sort of research. And when he sees what's going on, he just looks over there and he waves his right hand back and forth. You're looking over at him, and he gives you the thumbs up, Eli. Everything's good.
I just gesture to him, I just give him a thumbs up. Looking at the captain, everything's great. We're all good.
Understood. And I simply get up and leave, and I take my coffee.
And sadly, we can't call him Nurse Grawl, Cass. Grawl is actually a named NPC in Star Trek Online, I believe.
One quick thing, I would like to note that I left my...
Okay, nice. So
there's a timer. There's a timer counting
down. I'm gonna leave it up to the doctor if he sees that or not.
No, I'm continuing on to my office. Eating my hash brown, just occasionally sipping my coffee.
So in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the hit song "Waiting to Go" from the Federation pop charts starts blaring at full volume.
Luckily, I'm already in my office and it's soundproofed.
I was going to say, about a minute and a half, somewhere between a minute and a half to 2 minutes, the captain's comm badge would chime, and it would say, or Marcus's comm badge would chime, and it would say, "Sick Beta, Captain Graves."
Graves here.
It's a female voice and doesn't sound human. From your office, Eli, you can see that an Andorian has walked over and picked up a pad. And she says, "Captain, you you're in sick bay."
I did that quite on purpose. If the doctor would like to take a note, I also have a correspondence on there with his father. So, no worries at all, and you can just put it into general circulation.
No, I'll recycle it then, sir. Eli, this Andorian, who is actually a physician's assistant, comes to the door of your office and says, "Captain left this for you. Once you're done," he said, "it can just go. We can just set it back to recycle." And
I'll leave it up to Nick for what his father wrote to me.
Okay.
Hey, I'll send you that later.
Well, but yeah, there wouldn't, like, the captain wouldn't be able, like, basically, if you just left that behind, someone would notice that, the captain accidentally left his pad behind. It wouldn't take very long at all. So, the next thing that we see is your ship, the Reliant, moving through space. Your mission orders that you have in front of you, Graves and Kendra can see this as well. First mission orders have you setting in. You're to be setting in at Station Epsilon 10 to make contact and drop off a shipment of medical and industrial supplies that's basically what the as we know, the Reliant is there are parts of it around the different bays that are very modular, and it's been converted into taking cargo there for right now. And it's industrial and medical cargo that you're taking down to Station Epsilon 10. Should take, actually, I wish there was and there probably is, and maybe I just don't know it well enough yet. Do you guys who know the core rulebook better? Does the core rulebook have this is how long it takes to get from here to there at different speeds kind of thing?
Not really. It's mostly a matter of plot.
It's mostly a matter of plot, so it's subjective. In this case, it's going to take you a couple of weeks to get to the neutral zone. That's if you maintain cruising velocity of warp 7 most of the way. And by a couple of weeks, it'll be just shy of 14 days. So it would be 12 and a half, maybe 13 days if maybe 13 days if the station has drifted from its location, which is possible. A station can drift in space, so you're going to be seeing the station in a lot of days. Is there anything that any of you specifically want to do? Am I cutting out? I'm sorry, am I cutting out for people?
Occasionally, like the first syllable or last syllable of a word you may get done. Like, for instance, once you said cadets at one point, and all I heard was debts.
I'm just going to change the server region for a moment, so that should fix it.
Okay. I'll also just try to speak lower. I don't know.
Are you using automatic voice recognition instead of push to talk?
Don't know. I wouldn't know how to do push to talk.
Okay. Yeah. In settings, you can change the sensitivity how Discord will pick up your voice. So that might be part of it, where Discord is sort of cutting you off a little bit.
Oh.
So yeah, just look around in settings while we keep going.
I'll look around in settings and see what I can do.
Yeah. In the meantime, I just say enunciate.
Enunciate.
And that.
Is there anything that specifically comes to mind that any of you want to do in the space between Earth space dock and the neutral zone. I know that Quentin would need to make a roll for finishing his papers. Is what I would think it would be.
Can Rick assist with the security, aligning the shield stuff, transporting?
You actually can make the roll, and consider that you have. I'm gonna have to get so used to this new bot. Holy cow! You guys build a momentum, and Brissa is able to assist you with one success.
Okay, I presume it's another 2 successes.
Oh wow! So. Guys are one off of you guys have 5 momentum built up, and you now have a Rick Tier and Larissa program for your shields that you can bring the shields down and activate the transporter at the same exact time, basically. So it completely, it more than halves the time, and time is already only counted in seconds and such. It halves how much time it takes in order to do that, which is really kind of incredible. You now have. That's something I hadn't thought of you guys doing, and I love that you did. I really love that you guys did that, actually. So, cool. You've built 5 momentum, and you're on your way. And again, is there those of you who see Larissa has had, during your first mission, only filled in at the main TAC console one time. You only got moved there one time, but now that she is there, and it really is kind of her console, you see her doing something a little different with the way that it's set up than the way that you had it set up, Kendra. She actually adds 2 holographic towers either side of her console. These little, basically, they're hollow screens, they're not wide enough to be towers. They're kind of these fat screens that run up sides, so that she has individual torpedo control by picking her hands up and moving them to the sides. I'm trying to think of how better to describe that. Like, it's a flat console with 2 sides on it now, but they're holographic, and she's given herself a big red space bar. No, she's given herself individual torpedo control. It looks like she maintains still really liking torpedoes. And Quentin actually copy-pasted the wrong one. 2 successes. How is an 18 a success?
He didn't specify the target, so it's just going to record successes.
And it's just going to record successes. So actually, that's 1 success, because I think. Let me open up the drive, and you got 1 from Rick Tier 2, right? 11 for reason, and 4 or 5 for science. So it's either a 15 or a 16, and that still means 1 success and 1 from Rick Tier. You have beautiful, amazingly well sourced and well written, and you guys have the evidence as well. Like the evidentiary, you guys have a bunch of stuff that you send back to Starfleet Command, and you are the first two members of the crew. It's 2 weeks. I think I'm gonna let him work on both things, Kara. If you guys have, like I'm saying, if you guys have a couple of things you want to do, let's do that. You're the first one, Quentin, to get it's not a medal, it's a commendation you get for both Rick Tier and Quentin, this commendation for their work on the exploration, essentially, of a culture that seems to no longer exist. So, Tier 1 exploration. Yes, your crew team now has level 1 in your duty officer change. And before very long, you're able to see the area of space known as the Neutral Zone out any of the windows on that side of the ship as you're passing by and through the very edge of it here on the Federation side. And amazingly, doesn't look any different than the rest of space.
Ensign Tardigrade at this moment will also be looking at out the window towards the Neutral Zone, and he waves.
And he probably knows, because he's so in tune with, like, being a tardigrade. I would assume he's, like, I'm guessing anyway, that he's in tune with, like, the mycelial network, right? So he probably knows that somewhere, like, 100,000 light years away, or 100 or 1,000 light years away, there's another little tardigrade waving at him. So, when you first see Station Epsilon 10, now, if we were to take a look at the map, I don't know, I'm pretty sure the book has a pretty decent map in it, but the easiest one for me has always been the kind of basic Star Trek Alpha Beta Quadrant maps. And
I think my headcanon is just going to default to the Reliant sector map.
It really, that's kind of what I'm speaking of, is the Neutral Zone covers a large area, and the Alpha Beta sector map doesn't do that good. And since we are doing Trek Online, not Galaxy Class, Galaxy Map, you stupid predictive. So I'm not sure if everybody has access to finding a good copy of the, or has a quick, good copy of the Star Trek Online map. But if you do look down past Donatu sector, down where those very early Klingon missions take place, galactically south of Drozana, there's a place called the Ba'aha sector, where there's a really obscure mission that you can do at the Trayless sector down there. You're looking at the Neutral Zone off to does everybody, you know what, I'm just going to share the page that I've got it up on for myself. That would work, and you guys already have it, even as a PDF file. So you're looking at places like Arcanus, Otha, Boreth, Donatu. These are where the neutral zone sits, and you are going farther south of that. And the last really kind of charted area of space is the sector around the Trailus star, and just a little bit kind of farther galactically south of where that star is, there is an area of space that, for the most part, looking at it as you're approaching, seems, those of you on the bridge and at various stations, this area of space seems a little barren of large stars or any kind of large systems of planetary bodies. And based on your transponder and following your transponder, you find you find in this kind of vastness of space the Epsilon station. Now let me find the image that I'm looking for, because I have it. That it's one of those really cool looking stations. Oh, it's old, but oh, wow, that is a really old picture. I like that. I'm sorry, it's so small, but here is a picture of the Epsilon station. It looks like from a distance, the picture is small, is what I meant, not necessarily the station, though the station itself is also very small. The top area that you can see in that picture is not quite at, it's too wireframe, need more polygons. The lower part of it is actually very wireframed. And in that wireframe, you can see a couple of areas that look like stars, or small circles in there. And the reason is that entire lower area is kind of pointed out in the direction of space that's unexplored. So the station is oriented in such a way that bottom area almost looks like a giant, almost looks like a giant sensor array, because it is filled. There you go, the Epsilon IX station. It is not filled, but there are 4 of these like star-shaped. Where did you find that picture? Awesome. But there are 4 of these star kind of shaped sensor dishes that are on individual, each of those areas allow, like where it comes out in star pattern, allows it to turn and swivel and face different things, so that the entire bottom gantry has been turned into one giant sensor array. And then the upper parts of the station, then the upper parts of the station would be more where the crew would live and that sort of thing. Here, for example, if you hold on just a second, I got another picture that I just found that's a great one. Really small, though. Let me open it in a new tab and see if that... Nah, this one's way too small. But on Memory Alpha, on the Memory Alpha page for it, which is there, there is a picture down at the bottom of that called the panel section, and that is kind of what the sensor array of the thing looks like when it's active. You can see that there is one ship in a kind of a holding pattern because the station itself appears too small to have any ships actually dock or there are no ships